Well, keeping the land in the family, it is a key component to preserving a farm's legacy, which is why estate and succession planning is so important to many farmers and ranchers. We now want to take a look at a few key aspects to keep in mind. The man to do that for us, Roger McEowen with the Washburn School of Law. For more on this, Roger, a pleasure. Thank you for being here as always. So farmland, it can be owned in an IRA. The question is, though, should it? Maybe you can speak to the issues with holding farmland inside an IRA.
Well, good to be with you, Suzanne. The short answer is no. Don't take the temptation to put your farmland in an IRA. Yes, you can do it, but farming the land yourself by yourself or a related party will likely cause the IRA to be taxable. And if the land is financed, that causes the IRA to be taxable too. You can't even do any maintenance on the farmland. So you can't go out and mow lanes or maintain a grass waterway or anything like that. So just stay away from putting land in an IRA. And also you're going to have to find a custodian to do the transaction for you and then continue to handle the ownership of it, of course, for a fee. And the land will have to be appraised every year. And you're going to have to take partial distributions of the land when you begin to turn age 73. So not a good idea.
Yeah, it sounds like their hands are tied a lot with that situation there. Gifting property with debt can also be a complicated aspect of land transition. What do producers need to know here?
Well, gifting property as part of a succession plan or a legacy plan is usually not a problem, but other than the carryover basis in the hand of the donee, if they were to sell the property, that's going to trigger a lot of gain. But if there's debt against that property that you transfer, say I transfer a tractor that's been fully depreciated out to my son, and that has debt on it, that full amount then becomes taxable to me. So if it doesn't have any basis, that zero basis is going to transfer over, and then the debt against it is going to be taxable to me. So it's a bad idea. The same thing happens if you do it inside a partnership. So again, another bad idea.
Roger, what about the business of production agriculture? I know it's gotten more complex over the years. How should someone plan to transition the management of their farm or ranch?
Well, again, that's a big, complicated answer, and it depends on the facts and circumstances of each situation. But one aspect to make sure in the limited amount of time that we have is when you make a transfer, make sure you're transferring it to someone who shares your vision and has management capabilities and understands what they don't know. I think that's more important perhaps than anything else. Do they understand what they don't know and admit what they don't know and are willing to learn, consistent with what your vision is for the future of your farming or ranching operation?
Let's talk 401k for startup capital. I know it's a strategy that farmers use. Pros, cons for this process?
Yeah, this is pretty good. This is a lot better than putting farmland into an IRA. You can do it if it's done right. Let's say you have an existing job, you want to transition into farming, so you have an existing 401k with that employer. What you can do is create a C corporation to establish a 401k plan and then roll over your existing plan into that 401k. And so that newly established plan would buy shares in the C corporation and become an owner. And so then the money in the corporation then becomes the working capital that can be used to buy farm equipment and farm assets. But make sure you use the strategy for farming purposes. Don't go out and buy an RV with the funds that were in your IRA, or in your 401k. That's not going to work. IRS doesn't like those abuses. But other than that, it can be a good strategy.
Everything on the up and up for sure. Overall, the big takeaway here, what should people know?
Well, all this stuff is pretty complex. Make sure you have good tax and legal advice before you do any of this stuff. But there's some real advantages to these techniques.
Great stuff. And they can find that on your website and also on ours. Roger, as always, a pleasure. Thanks for all this great information. That is Roger McEowen with the Washburn School of Law.